The return to metal, the end of trust. The illusion was exquisite. For decades, the world turned under the weight of invisible promises. Dollars spun across continents. South Dakota Rs were allocated. Central banks smiled across summits. But beneath the marble floors and handshake diplomacy, something ancient stirred, a memory, a reckoning. In the East, they remembered. China, for centuries, the world's largest holder of silver, had been humiliated when that silver was drained by opium wars and colonial banking. They remembered how gold had once flowed out of Asia never returned. And now, quietly, they were bringing it back. No declarations, no grand speeches, just silent accumulation. In 2000, China reported holding just 395 tons of gold. 2 decades later, that number had tripled at least officially. But the true figure, analysts whispered, was much higher. Gold was being imported through Hong Kong, refined in Shenzhen, hidden in sovereign funds, military vaults, and quiet warehouses. It was not just wealth. It was insurance against collapse, against betrayal. Russia, too, began its retreat from trust. After the 2014 sanctions, the Kremlin accelerated its gold purchases. Rubles could be frozen, bank accounts seized. But gold? Gold could be buried, moved, used. And then came 2022. With the invasion of Ukraine, Western powers unleashed financial weapons unlike anything seen before. Russian assets were frozen. Reserves once considered sacred were simply erased. It was a new kind of war, one fought not with bombs, but balance sheets. The message was heard far beyond Moscow. If it could happen to Russia, it could happen to anyone. A global realization took root. In a system built on trust, the only protection is possession, and possession means gold. Countries from India to Turkey began increasing their reserves. Poland brought its gold back home from London. Hungary, Singapore, even Serbia, nations with very different histories followed the same path. Quietly, relentlessly. And what of the United States? Still, it held the largest official reserves. Still, the dollar reigned supreme. But something had changed. The whispers had become questions. The questions became investigations. And in boardrooms from Frankfurt to Riyadh, the unthinkable was being considered. What if we moved beyond the dollar? What if a new system backed by gold, commodities, real assets replaced the old? BRICS, the bloc of emerging powers, began discussing a common trade currency, possibly anchored by gold. Central banks accelerated digital currencies, not as gimmicks, but as lifeboats. Trust in the IMF, in the Federal Reserve, in the sanctity of Western-held reserves, was cracking. Because gold does not lie. It cannot be printed. It cannot be frozen. It cannot be suspended temporarily. And as the pillars of the post-war financial order trembled, the story returned to where it began. A vault, a whisper, a choice. In the end, it was never about money. It was about faith. And when faith dies, gold remains. Heavy, silent, eternal.